the Honda NC50 Express. Wind it up. Oh yeah, I like that shot. Wasn't even planned. So this is the Honda Express with the new top end, or at least piston rings, and a new cylinder jug, along with several other things. Oh, I cooked the exhaust in a bed of hot coals and then painted it. It's got the new aftermarket carb and a bunch of minor stuff like a real fuel filter. What else did I do here? Oh, I did the where the rack attaches to the seat stem. I drilled through it and put in one long screw and nut, which is a popular way to fix that, because the one of the two bolts that was there was stripped, so I just eliminated two and went with one. Got a new brake lever switch, trued up the rear wheel, tightened up the brakes, and away we go. Just kind of warming it up here. I've done the 5 heat cycles, and is this my 5th? I think this was my 5th little break-in ride. I'll do break-in rides where I just kind of vary the throttle. First one, not doing more than a quarter throttle. Maybe a couple more rides, not doing more than half, and a couple more rides, not doing more than 3/4 throttle. Just trying to break it in right so we don't have any future problems, you know what I mean? And while I'm thinking about it, I'll give a shout out to Tony B for putting me onto this carburetor solution for the Honda Express. Give credit where credit is due, right? Anyhow, what led me to do all this work on this thing were a couple reasons. One, it just wasn't running right. It was running like a dog. And two, a lot of difficulty in starting it. So where did I start? I started with the replacement carburetor. Still had all kinds of trouble starting it. Still not running that great. So I cooked the exhaust. I probably could have cooked it a little longer, but I didn't want to mess it up. Basically, you want to cook it till the thing glows orange, and then flip it over and do the same to the other side. So maybe like a half hour in some hot coals. That's what I did. I probably could have gone another 10 minutes. Here's a little uphill performance. I think I got it to 25 or so uphill, and it was still digging, but like I said, I was taking it easy on the throttle. So anyway, I'm back to cooking the muffler. So I let it cool overnight. I was originally going to soak it in diesel fuel, but I'd started a fire, and I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell? I'm just going to cook the damn thing. And if you cook it, you need to paint it, and I had some high temperature paint, so I put several coats of that on it, and it came out looking nice. I should have got a little bit of that in the video. But that didn't help in terms of starting or getting it to run better. So I said, well, shit, you know, I'm just going to put on a new top end, or pretty much a new top end. So I had a new piston and rings, and I had a different cylinder jug with a bigger exhaust port, and I decided to throw that on. And it runs a lot better now, but I was still having an issue getting the thing started, despite what you may have seen in the video. That is the magic of video editing. You didn't see my several other attempts. However, there wasn't that many. Anyhow, I stumbled onto the starting issue. All the things I've already mentioned could have been a small factor, but I think the main issue in getting this thing started was the fuel flow from the gas tank and maybe petcock. That fuel flow is very slow. So I think, you know, the normal thing is when you're done riding it is to shut off the petcock, which I normally do and my buddy normally does. Problem is, I think with the slow fuel flow rate, when you're done riding it, that float bowl is not full of gas. And so the low level of gas in the float bowl makes it very difficult to start. And I had a similar problem on another Express, the Red Express, which is the subject of other videos. And by accident, I discovered that if you just leave the petcock on while you put it away for the day or the night or whatever, it was a lot easier to start because, you know, from that day until the next time you rode it, the next day or whatever, several hours later, gas would have continued to flow into the carburetor, filling up the float bowl, and it is a ton easier to start with the float bowl full. And today, which is like a day or two after I made this video, I had done that, and the thing started, almost started on the first kick, or the first wind in this case, started right up on the second wind. And then the trick is, once it's turning over, I think what I figured was if you give it a little gas as you let it unwind and start, and then reach down and choke it, and kind of alternate between choking and then letting off the choke and giving it gas, and then putting the choke on, letting off the choke and giving it gas, it'll keep running and fire right up. So, chased my tail on several other things on the starting issue, but really it was just a slow fuel flow rate out of the gas tank. Might be the petcock, although it's a new petcock, but maybe there was just still some debris in the gas tank, which is kind of slowing things down, slowing fuel down as it goes into the petcock and through the fuel line and down into the carburetor. So yeah, I mean, top speed on this previously was 26 miles an hour, and I think I'm doing that now uphill. You hear it four-stroking there. I'm going to mess around with the air filter or try some different air filters and see if I can lessen that four-stroking. Shouldn't be four-stroking uphill, downhill maybe. And after this ride, I actually went and tried a different air filter and almost hit 30 miles an hour on a slight downhill. So I would say the Express is running rather nicely. Well, running rather well. Still got a little bit of engine noise. And I know the Express kind of has that wind-uppy sound. Maybe someone can let me know, but especially at idle or at low throttle, it seems to have a little bit of piston chatter. And I thought I had read somewhere that piston chatter is due to side-to-side play in the crankshaft. Now, another video I watched suggested that piston chatter was due to oddly worn rings. Maybe rings that had worn more on one section than others so that they don't fill the whole cylinder. Actually ran out of gas here. Oh, not again. And unfortunately, there's not much reserve gas with this petcock. And then if you do run it out of gas, yeah, I just said that. You've got to wait until the carburetor float bowl fills, which actually takes quite a long time. Hey man, I'm trying to tell a story here, and you keep interrupting. I have enough to get home. And with this new fuel filter, which is kind of long, I had to kind of do a loop-de-loop with the fuel line. But it's nice having a clear fuel line because you can kind of see the gas go down into the carburetor. Amazingly, I got it started right up. But if you do run it out of gas, it is a pain in the butt to start. Unless you add gas to it and just let it sit for several hours. You don't yet, not several hours, but probably 15 or 20 minutes with the petcock on so that that carb bowl fills all the way up. And you know what? Maybe I had to even... Where was I in life? Maybe I ought to even see if I can adjust the float level on this particular carb. By the way, I've sold some of these carbs and never had an issue until recently. I had a gentleman who purchased carburetor, shipped it to Colorado for him, and he could only get the thing to run with the choke on, and that could be solved with by enlarging the idle jet. And you can enlarge the idle jet by simply purchasing a micro drill bit set for like $10 or $15 on eBay, and you just find the drill bit that fits and then go to the next size up and try that until you can get it to idle right. However, if you do have to enlarge the idle jet any further, you've got bigger issues than the carburetor. You probably have got scoring on the piston and the cylinder, would be my guess. Anyhow, I completely ran out of gas now, which is always worrisome when you're breaking in new piston and rings, because you're like, did something go wrong with the piston and rings, or did I just run out of gas? Well, I just ran out of gas, so I'm doing the walk of shame. Anyhow, hey, thanks for visiting, and until next time, ride safe.